past presidents of IAP Kerala, Dr. Ashraf, Nihas, Ranjit, faculty members, and my friends. As Dr. Bala has stated, it's an important meeting. Pediatricians are eagerly waiting or with anxiously waiting IAP Kerala to reopen their clinic or to continue the practice. Continue the practice in the fourth phase of lockdown. It's an important meeting. Pediatricians are eagerly waiting or with anxiously waiting to reopen the. There has been quite a number of protocols coming. Government protocols. Fourth phase of lockdown. From IMA there was a protocol. From ICMR there's a protocol. CIAP there was some guidelines, protocols and guidelines coming. So pediatrician working at the periphery or even in the institutional setup, they are really worried or they are really confused. What is going to happen? How to handle the new outpatient and inpatient services? And something somewhere has gone, I would say, wrong. Even in our welcome speech, our secretary said nowadays cases are increasing. So even when somebody tells, when the chief minister or somebody tells that there are COVID rogigal positive avunu. So are these 500 or nearly 600 people tested in Kerala cases, or are they simply infection? The definition of infection, definition of disease, are we forgetting that? Is it because that the distinction between infection and disease is not there, that we are more worried? One epidemiologist, who is my friend, he is working in a reputed medical college in Kerala, he told me, asked me, you have nearly more than 4,000 road accidents in Kerala, road accident deaths in Kerala every year. Then why are you not closing your roads? And this has been happening for years. Still, you're not closing your roads. And now you have nearly 600 infections, some of which may be diseases cases, few of them, with 3 deaths, showing a very low percentage of case fatality. Why are you that much worried about corona? So there's a set of epidemiologists and healthcare experts thinking in that view. But we had to go according to the protocols laid down by the government and our association, IMA, and such bodies, ICMR, such bodies. So when we are going to have relaxation in the lockdown rules, actually we are going to live with the virus. Living with the virus, that will be happening when you are having relaxation in the lockdown rules. That is that everybody is expecting, everybody is wanting. And as we just chatted with Sumarna sir, he also has been not working, quite bored during the last 2.5 months. So everybody is willing to work, but there is a confusion, a fear prevailing. There should be some definite idea about communication with the patients, triaging in the outpatient section, setting up the waiting area, reception, consultation room, and approach to the staff, their security, then the personal protection of the pediatrician, using PPE equipments, then should there be pneumococcal vaccination administered to at least the senior pediatricians, senior citizens. These requirements vary from medical colleges, COVID hospitals, small hospitals, private clinics, primary health centers, and even those who are practicing, a large number of pediatricians practicing at their residence. So the requirement will be different, the facilities will be different. So everybody is watching how the deliberations of this meeting will give them some idea, some guidelines regarding the future practice. Whether they should opt for teleconsultation. Will it do good or will it do bad, especially in pediatrics? These are the questions put forward before the distinguished speakers and panelists here. So we'll be going to have a very fruitful discussion here, led by none other than Dr. T.P. Ashraf, with a good team of Dr. Mohandas, Dr. Ajit, and Dr. Sindhu and Dr. Fiji. So these deliberations will take into consideration, and IAP Kerala is willing to definitely want to draft something like guidelines for our pediatricians, taking cues from this today's deliberations. So as Bala has already said, my thanks and congratulations to the Calicut branch of IAP Kerala, who day after day are proving to be more and more vibrant under the able leadership and the good teamwork of IAP Kozhikode. Without wasting much time, I'm thankful to all of you, and I think we'll be straight away going to the sessions. In between, we'll have interactions and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Narayanan, IAP State President, Dr. Bala, Sukumaran sir, past National President. First of all, Dr. Purushothaman sir is there, CK sir is there, MTP Mohammadi sir is there, many other senior faculty members across the Kerala there. First of all, let me congratulate Dr. Narayanan, Dr. Bala, as well as Dr. Ajit Kumar, HOD Pediatrics, Government Medical College, Calicut, for this initiative. Before the panel discussion, I invite Sachi sir for an introductory remarks. Please unmute Sachi sir.
Thank you. Thank you and good evening to you all. President Dr. Narayanan, past President Dr. Sukumaran, President of Calicut branch Ashraf, many senior colleagues and my dear friends. എന്നെ അഷ്റഫ് രാവിലെ വിളിച്ചിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ തന്നെ എനിക്ക് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷമായി. എന്താന്ന് പറയുക, നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പൊ പോകുന്നത് നേരത്തെ നാരായണൻ മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്ത മാതിരി നമുക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പോസ്റ്റ് കോവിഡ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളതല്ല. കോവിഡ് ഇനി ജീവിതകാലം ഫുൾ ഉണ്ടാവോ, മീസിൽസിൽ നിന്ന് എങ്ങനെയാ മാറണേ, അതേമാതിരി സ്മോൾ ബോക്സിൽ നിന്ന് മാറണ മാതിരി നമുക്ക് സംഭവിക്കുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. ഇപ്പൊ മീസിൽസ്, ചിക്കൻ ബോക്സ് ഒക്കെ നമുക്കിനി ലൈഫ് ലോങ് നിൽക്കണ മാതിരി കോവിഡും നമ്മുടെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ടാവും. അതിനെങ്ങനെ വരും എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്കറിയത്തില്ല. അതിന്റെ ഭവിഷ്യത്തുകളൊക്കെ നോക്കി പോകേണ്ടി വരും. അതാണ് നാരായണൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ കോവിഡിനോട് കൂടി ജീവിക്കണം. ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്നത്തെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ്റെ അകത്ത് നമുക്ക് 2-3 കാറ്റഗറീസ് ആണുള്ളത്. അതിൽ വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്, ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഇന്നിപ്പോ ഞാൻ കോവിഡിന്റെ സമയങ്ങളിലെല്ലാം ഞാൻ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ പോവുകയുണ്ടായി. ഇന്ന് വരെ ഞാൻ പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്, ലീവ് എടുക്കാണ്ട് തന്നെ പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ സഫർ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ആ മെഡിക്കൽ സ്പെഷ്യാലിറ്റീസിൽ സർജിക്കൽ പോലും നമുക്ക് എമർജൻസി ഒക്കെ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. മെഡിക്കലിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ പീഡിയാട്രിക്സ് ആണ്. ആ എന്താണാവോ അവർ വരാനുള്ള മടി കൊണ്ടാവാം, വരാനുള്ളതോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എമർജൻസി കുറഞ്ഞിട്ടോ പല രീതിയിലും എൻവയറമെന്റൽ ഇഷ്യൂസ് കുറഞ്ഞു, അതുകൊണ്ട് ആസ്മ അങ്ങനത്തെ കുറഞ്ഞു, ഈ ഇമ്മ്യൂണൈസേഷൻ നമ്മൾ പോസ്റ്റ്പോൺ ചെയ്യാൻ പറഞ്ഞു, ഇമ്മ്യൂണൈസേഷൻ കുറഞ്ഞു. അതേമാതിരി തന്നെ കൂട്ടത്തിൽ സ്കൂളുകളിൽ പോയിട്ട് ആ ഇൻഫെക്ഷൻ റേറ്റ് പകർന്നു കിട്ടുന്ന അത് കുറഞ്ഞു. ഇതൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാലും ഞാൻ മറ്റേ സൈഡ്, ഞാൻ അസുഖം വരണമെന്നല്ല ഞാൻ പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കണേ, അസുഖം വരാതിരിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് തന്നെ പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെയാണ്. പക്ഷേ എന്നിരുന്നാലും നമ്മുടെ പ്രാക്ടീസിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഒരുപാട് എഫക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പം 2-3 കാറ്റഗറി ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് ഈ ഡിസ്കഷൻ്റെ അകത്ത് നിർബന്ധമായിട്ട് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്കിത് ഒരു ലാൻഡ് മാർക്കായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എടുത്തിട്ട് വി ക്യാൻ ഷോ ഇറ്റ് ടു ദി നാഷണൽ IAP ഓൾസോ ദാറ്റ് ദീസ് ആർ ദി ഗൈഡ് ലൈൻസ് ടു ബി ഫോളോഡ്. കാര്യങ്ങൾ വരുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ വീട്ടിലുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസ്, വീടുകളിൽ ഉള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസ്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ലെവൽ നമുക്ക് ക്ലിനിക്കുകൾ വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസ്. വീടുകളിലുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് വേറെ സ്റ്റാഫുകളോ വേറെ ആരുമില്ല, നമ്മൾ തന്നെ വീട്ടിലിരുന്നിട്ട് ചെയ്യേണ്ട പ്രാക്ടീസ്. ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് വേറെ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ലെവൽ നമ്മൾ ക്ലിനിക്കായിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അവിടെ കുറച്ച് 1-2 സ്റ്റാഫുകളുണ്ടാവും. അങ്ങനത്തെ ലെവലിൽ 3ാമത്തെ ലെവലിൽ നമുക്ക് നഴ്സിംഗ് ഹോംസും ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽസും വരാം. 4ാമത്തെ ടെറിഷറി കെയർ. ഈ 4 ഡിവിഷനും നമ്മൾ കവർ ചെയ്താൽ മാത്രമേ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു പീഡിയാട്രീഷ്യനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം നമ്മളെ എങ്ങനെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യാം, അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്ന പേഷ്യൻസിനെ എങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളതും കൂടെ, ആ മെസ്സേജും കൂടെ നമുക്ക് ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്തുനിന്ന് കൊണ്ടുവരണം. ഞാൻ ഈ പാനലിസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ അതിനെപ്പറ്റി ഒന്നും പറയുന്നത്, ദേ ഹാവ് ഓൾ പ്രിപ്പയർഡ് വെൽ. എല്ലാവരും തന്നെ വെരി വെൽ പ്രിപ്പയർഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം. ഓരോരുത്തരെയും ഞാൻ പേഴ്സണലി അറിയാം. അതുകൊണ്ട് ദേ ഓൾ പ്രിപ്പയർഡ് വെരി വെൽ. സോ ഐ വിൽ ട്രൈ ടു ബി ഇൻ മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദി സെഷൻസ്. എനിക്ക് ഇൻ ബിറ്റ്വീൻ വേറൊരു സൂമും വേറൊരു മീറ്റിംഗും ഉണ്ട്. ഞാൻ ഇടയ്ക്കൊന്ന് പോയാലും ഞാൻ തിരിച്ചുണ്ടാവും. എൻഡ് ചെയ്യണതിന് മുമ്പ് ഐ വുഡ് ഓൾസോ ലവ് ടു ബി ഇൻ എ പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദിസ് പ്രോഗ്രാം ആൻഡ് റിയലി കൺഗ്രാജുലേറ്റ് the state president as well as the Kozhikode branch president and their team to initiate this. It is not late. Still we can have a proposal how to go forward. നാരായണനും ഒക്കെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. നമ്മളിവിടെ IMA കൊച്ചിൻ IMA IAP കൂടെ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ ഓരോ ഷീൽഡ് വാങ്ങിക്കലും അങ്ങനത്തെ രീതിയിലൊക്കെ ഇതൊന്നും കോസ്റ്റ്ലി അല്ല. നമുക്കെല്ലാം ബാർഗെയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ആൾക്കാരെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ 2500 മെമ്പേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള പീഡിയാട്രീഷ്യൻസിനെ എങ്ങനെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യും, ഏത് ലെവലിൽ ചെയ്യണം എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ നന്നായിട്ട് ആലോചിച്ചിട്ട് ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും കൂടെ ശ്രമിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവർക്ക് സബ്സിഡൈസ് റേറ്റിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ടോ നമുക്ക് ചെയ്തു കൊടുക്കാനായിട്ട് പറ്റും എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എൻ്റെ വിശ്വാസം. ഇത് നന്നായിട്ട് വരട്ടെ. ഞാൻ അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഞാൻ വന്നോളാം. ഇപ്പോഴും ഞാൻ കുറച്ചു നേരം ഉണ്ടാവും. എന്നിട്ട് ഞാൻ പോയിട്ട് തിരിച്ചു വരും. ദി ബെസ്റ്റ് ഫോർ ദി a fruitful coming out with a good document which can be published in the national level also. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you, Narayanan and Dr. Ashraf. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachi sir. Now, our panelists, one is Dr. Ajit Kumar, HOD of Pediatrics, Government Medical College.
Yes, sir. We have Anandakeshan sir also.
Anandakeshan is there. We will try to make this an open discussion. After going to the panelists, if anybody in the Zoom group want to express an idea or want to raise a point, please send a I message to chat box. I will repeatedly check the chat box and the microphones will be open for them. So you can also express your views and thoughts in between. Welcome, Anandakeshavan, National Vice President. Then last 2 months, we are under lockdown. Now the government is also planning to lift the lockdown in a phased manner. Lockdown പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റർ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു, മഹാഭാരത യുദ്ധം 18 ദിവസം കൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ വിജയിച്ചത്. 21 days കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഈ വൈറസിനെതിരെയുള്ള യുദ്ധം വിജയിക്കുമെന്ന്. പക്ഷെ റിയാലിറ്റി അങ്ങനെ അല്ല. റിയാലിറ്റിയില്
Full
ഇപ്പൊ
screen
50
ആക്കുക,
days ആയി. Yeah. Hello? Audible?
Yeah, audible. Yeah, okay.
അപ്പൊ ഇപ്പൊ റിയാലിറ്റി അങ്ങനെയല്ല. Now the political leadership also convinced. കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച പ്രസ് കോൺഫറൻസിൽ ഓണറബിൾ ചീഫ് മിനിസ്റ്റർ വാസ് സെയിങ് നമ്മള് വൈറസുമായി സമരസപ്പെട്ട് ജീവിക്കേണ്ടി വരും എന്നുള്ള ഒരു തലത്തിലാണ്. So the importance of this discussion is that we have to live with the virus. അത് എത്ര കാലം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ചോദ്യം. This is a statement issued by Mike Ryan, WHO emergencies expert. This virus may become another endemic virus in our communities. H1N1 വരുമ്പോ ഔട്ട്ബ്രേക്കും എപ്പിഡമിക്കും ആയിരുന്നു. ലേറ്റർ ഇപ്പൊ എല്ലാ കൊല്ലം H1N1 ഒന്ന് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്, നമ്മൾ വല്ലാതെ ഒന്നും മൈൻഡ് ആക്കുന്നില്ല. And this virus may never go away. I think it is important that we are realistic, and I don't think anyone can predict when this disease will disappear. I think there are no promises in this, and there are no dates. എപ്പോൾ പോകുമെന്ന് ആർക്കും പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഒരു ഡേറ്റും പറയാൻ പ്രയാസം തന്നെയാണ്. This disease may settle into a long problem, or it may not be. Complete uncertainty. Even in the scientific world, there is complete uncertainty. During the lockdown, several of our government's previous actions are now criticized. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. പാസ്റ്റിനെ നമുക്ക് ക്രിട്ടിസൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാളും പാസ്റ്റിലെ പാഠങ്ങൾ വെച്ച് we have to plan for future. The main objective of this session is planning for the future, to helping the pediatricians in their reopening their clinical practice, continuing, and allowing our children for their rights, immunization, education, as well as the proper care and treatment. That is the objective of this session. Then, we all agree we should have a preparedness for the future. Dr. Ajit, why we are saying such a preparedness is essential?
Thank you, Dr. Ashraf, respected State President, Secretary, senior pediatricians, and dear friends. So, as everybody said, we have to live with the virus. We need to have a gradual lockdown. That's what we are experiencing. And definitely, as Sukumaran sir is wanting, we have to open our practice, open our clinics, but in a modified way. So everybody is itching to open their own clinics and practices. Ashraf, next slide. So, I mean, a lot of health workers are also affected. So, this is from one of the studies. Next slide. So that, as we know that the pediatricians are the frontline warriors, or in addition to that, there are a lot of nurses, pharmacists, lab technicians, other supportive staffs in our hospital or clinics who are vulnerable. So the most important thing is to have a self-protection. Next slide. And the paramount thing is to protect ourselves, to protect our patients, and protect our community and family. Next slide. So our safety is the most paramount, and for that, we have to have preparedness in the coming days. Okay. Dr.
Completely agree with you, Dr. Ajit. Our safety is first. In any case of pandemic or epidemic, we often forget our safety. Our safety is the paramount importance in this COVID time. Then, Dr. Mohandas, we are practicing at different levels. There may be single doctor clinics, small hospitals, private sector, government sector, big hospitals, big private hospitals, COVID hospitals, non-COVID hospitals, lot of classifications are there. Whether this preparedness is needed in all levels of hospitals?
Thank you. Definitely, we have to be prepared at all levels. And so far, our government or our society has done the right thing. We were experiencing what is happening in other countries, and So now we have a better idea about what is going to happen. So so far we were having an idea about who is going to become positive. Initially, we knew those who are coming from foreign countries and their contacts. And then we could almost crush the curve in Kerala. And now our beloved persons are coming from various states and countries. And again, we see a rise in the number of cases, which is totally expected. So now we know, even now we know who are going to become positive, whom we have to be more careful. But as we proceed further, it will reach a situation where we cannot predict who is going to be affected with this COVID. So we have to be careful, because the thing is, any child coming with severe acute respiratory infection could be having COVID. An influenza-like illness could be having COVID, or an asymptomatic person, because all need not have symptoms, could also be carrying the virus and can transmit it to others. And we, the healthcare workers, may be harboring the virus unknowingly, and we may be at risk of transmitting infection to our patients or their relatives. So this can happen at any level in a home practice, home-based practice, a small clinic, or a larger hospital. So we have to be prepared at all levels.
Okay, Mohandas, we should have preparedness in all levels. Some of our colleagues are practicing in a single doctor clinic. Dr. Fiji, what all precautions we will take in a single doctor clinic?
Good evening.
Fiji.
Teachers and my dear friends. So I will be directly going to the topic, that is precautions to be taken in a single doctor. Though I am working as an assistant professor.
Fiji, ഒന്നും കൂടി അടുത്തേക്ക് ഇരുന്നാൽ ഇത്രയും കൂടി.
Though I am working, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Though I am working as an assistant professor in medical college, I was working in a busy private hospital for 4 years after my PG course. So I know what are the common problems a single doctor clinic or a small hospital will face in such a pandemic. So I will directly go to the topic. So one thing I would recommend is
Fiji, can you be audible?
Headset ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നതായിരിക്കും.
Hello. Audible ആണോ sir?
ഇത്രയും കൂടി ഒച്ചത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
So booking in advance with a time slot will be better to avoid the rush in front of the waiting room and restrict the number of patients per day. And it is better to use non-AC rooms as consultation rooms. And if you are practicing at home, so I don't have headset now. So am I audible now?
Yeah.
So if you are practicing at home, better to use a consultation room which is not directly connected to the house, and better to change to a clinic away from the home if possible, at least in the coming months, till we know what will happen in the coming months. Next slide, sir. Next slide, sir. So there should be a separate waiting area for fever and respiratory cases, and a hand washing area should be there in any clinic. And you should ask the bystander and the patient to wash just before they enter your room for consultation. So next slide. So this is the hand washing area and the hand sanitizer kept in front of the entrance in medical college. Like that, a small washing area should be there in any clinic. So next slide, sir. So there should be printed instructions displayed in the waiting area in Malayalam. So mask നിർബന്ധമായും ധരിച്ചിരിക്കണം. Such a order should be there in all waiting areas. Next slide.
അപ്പൊ എൻട്രിയിൽ തന്നെ it is better to keep a hand washing facility as well as an exhibit saying mask നിർബന്ധമായും ധരിച്ചിരിക്കണം even in a small clinic.
Is it not audible? Am I audible?
Yeah. Continue.
And screening questions should be displayed. This is the you can see a seal in the OP ticket. In all OP tickets, we put this seal. വിദേശയാത്ര ഉണ്ട് ഇല്ല. വിദേശയാത്ര നടത്തിയവരുമായി സമ്പർക്കം, COVID-19 രോഗം സ്ഥിരീകരിച്ചവരുമായി സമ്പർക്കം, സംശയിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നവരുമായി സമ്പർക്കം, രോഗലക്ഷണങ്ങൾ. These are must before the patient enters the consultation room. Such seal can be made, and contact or travel history has to be asked properly. It is just like asking in a crime. You have to ask repeatedly in different angles to get the contact history. Otherwise, they will conceal. Next slide. Next slide, sir. So, precautions. We should allow only one bystander into the room, and better to keep a stool for sitting, not an armchair. And you should instruct them to avoid touching the consultation table. And for each patient, there should be 2 steps. One, patient and bystander is sitting opposite in the opposite side of table, and you can take history at a 1 meter distance from the patient and parent. After taking history, patient may be seated near you for examination if needed. At least putting the stethoscope should be there, otherwise the patient will be very much disappointed after the consultation. So history can be taken at a 1 meter distance. Next slide.
ഈ പേഷ്യന്റുമായിട്ട് ഫിജി ഓൾറെഡി ടോൾഡ് പേഷ്യന്റുമായിട്ട് ഒരു 1 മീറ്റർ അകലെങ്കിലും വേണമെന്ന്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബെറ്റർ ടു സീറ്റ് ദ ചൈൽഡ് opposite side of the table.
But for examination,
then another suggestion is if we are keeping 2 tables in between, the adequate distance will be there. Instead of 1 table, place 2 tables. Okay.
Next slide. So this is the house surgeon in our casualty. So she is wearing N95 mask, cap, and a gown. So these are must in any clinic. Even if it is at home, you should have a 3-layer mask at least. Better to have an N95 mask, cap, and a gown to cover up to the wrist. Next slide. So avoid bangle, ring, wristwatch, etc. And here we are supposed to use disposable tongue depressor, and infrared thermometer will be better than the usual digital thermometer. Hand sanitizer should be used after each consultation. Hands and even chest piece should be disinfected. Next. For young babies, we may not be able to insist on mask, but we can keep them at a distance for history taking. And follow up only if necessary. Better to do it over phone because you have already seen the patient once. And advice about self-isolation and care of vulnerable people at home if you have any mild suspicion of COVID. Even if you have no facility to test them, you can advise self-isolation. And cleaning the face shield, stethoscope, and instruments that I will come later, that should be done at the end of every day. And in handling documents and fees, there are some protocols that Ajit sir will tell in the next slide, in the coming slides. Next slide, sir. So this is about the single doctor clinic.
Single doctor clinic. In Kerala, Dr. Sindhu, some of our pediatricians or doctors are practicing in their own residence, especially the doctors who are working in the government hospitals. Some of the homes are rented homes. If it is our own home, there may be separate facility and separate entry for the patients. But in a rented home, all these facilities may not be there. What is your thoughts to continuing the practice in such facilities? Sindhu. Sindhu. Okay, welcome, Sindhu.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Fiji has mentioned all about what is to be done in a single doctor practice. But in Kerala, as sir mentioned, that some are doing in their home itself. But in this present scenario, it is better to avoid practice at home, because at home we may have our elderly parents or somebody who is taking some drug medications or chronic illness. So it is better to avoid. But if it is unavoidable, it is as in a single patient, single doctor clinic. It is always fixed. What Fiji mentioned is applicable to here. That is the fixed time. But in the home, better to avoid respiratory cases. You are fixing appointments and if possible avoid respiratory cases, because in the present scenario, it will be very difficult to distinguish between which is a COVID case and which is not a COVID case as the time is going on. And always, even it is at your home, keep a record of all the patients. Sometimes we don't know which patient sometimes may later turn positive. So we have to keep all the details of these patients. And this hand washing, mask, sanitizer, all should be followed as per the single doctor clinic. But in that, if it is at your home, so next slide. If you are using a consultation room, most of us may be using a AC consultation room. Better to avoid that. And at the present, it may be difficult to change. You can make some minor adjustments. So like if you can fix an exhaust fan so that we can have a ventilation after each patient comes and goes. And everybody is now using this face shield and all, can use all these things. But make sure that you can have some how to disinfect this will be a problem at your home. And also always better to avoid these procedures like nebulization at your home.
Thank you, Sindhu. In single doctor practice as well as the practice at the residence, it is better to give appointment for respiratory case as a separate batch. For all other cases, first batch, then respiratory cases may be called as a second batch. Or if it is in a clinic, the morning, it is better to see other systems and afternoon respiratory cases. Then after the proper cleaning, you can continue the practice for the next day. That is a better way. Then regarding the OP in a hospital, what is your thoughts, Dr. Ajit, about the OP management in this COVID season in hospital setups, especially small hospitals?
Basically, very important to have the call them by appointment, keeping reasonable time in between. And as you said, we cannot avoid the respiratory cases basically. So we can group them into a particular time of the day. And so if any patient seems to be COVID suspect, the very important to refer them to a COVID center. And as Dr. Fiji has said, avoid routine follow-ups and other procedures like elective procedures if there is pediatric surgery also. Don't do elective surgeries. Next slide. So very important, because from now onwards, we will have two pools of patients coming. One will be the non-COVID pool and COVID pool. So it is very important to differentiate between them by the use of signages, questionnaires, and thermal screening. Thermal screening is not, I find it not so much of importance, because around only it has a very less sensitivity. And so basically, so questionnaire and signages, and the questionnaires has to be repeatedly done. And if it's a next slide. So if it is a small hospital, you should have someone sitting in the triage area with adequately protected, who will trained in asking these questions, and they should separate the patients with fever and cough, and they should have the personal protective equipments and a hand washing area, as Dr. Fiji said, and social distance between the patients in the waiting area. Next slide. And all the COVID suspects should be referred to the COVID center. So from the triage area, if somebody is suspecting, they have to be like all symptomatic individuals who have undertaken international or outside state travel in the last 14 days, all asymptomatic contact of lab, all lab confirmed, or all symptomatic healthcare workers, all hospitalized patients with severe acute respiratory. That is, there's an acute onset of within any respiratory illness within 10 days. That is severe acute respiratory illness, or asymptomatic direct to high risk contact or contact. So these are some of the cases which has to be referred to the COVID centers. Next slide. And these are the so definitely there should be visual displays in every area, especially in the waiting area. This is to reinforce both the patient as well as health workers' importance of hand hygiene, cough etiquette, etc., as well as other things. And in the OPD, all patients should wear masks. Next slide. All they should be cloth made, and clinic should be, as I said, well ventilated. And doctors should not use cloth mask. They should use surgical mask and an alcohol disinfectant. And next slide. And restrict clinic time. You cannot extend till pediatricians or problem. Restrict the time, clinic time, and one patient with one attender. And this we already said, but don't allow grandparents as attenders, bystanders, or grandparents. Appointment grandparents next slide, please. And this is very important. Use one pen, decontaminate mobile phones. Do not touch anything. As hair should be tied up, covered your face with, and separate stuff for clinic and keep in the clinic. But don't take anything from the clinic to your, anything from the hospital to your house. If you have a small shoes, and change the shoes when you go outside the hospital also. So all the things, most of the things that you use in the OPD, leave it there and don't take most of the things to your to the home, and decontaminate. Next slide. And very important to clean your desktop. These are the high risk areas: desk, doorknob, computer, pen, and there should be minimal touching. Sanitize your hands after every patient examination. This I already said. Leave your stuff, knee hammer, and other medical equipment in the office. Next slide. Next slide. And these are the disinfectants that you have to use in your hospital. That's 1% sodium hypochlorite can be used, freshly prepared, and it has to be kept for 10 minutes. And you can use your alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, 70%. Can use to wipe surfaces and metals. Next slide. How frequent you have to do? Next slide. So 3 to 4 hours. So high touch area should be cleaned every 3 to 4 hours, and low touch surfaces like mirrors, walls should be at least once daily. So before you go to the clinic and after they should be decontaminated. Next slide.
Next slide, please. 1 minute, some problem. Okay.
And this we already said, we have to have PP according to a risk. So no need for N95 in a clinic if you have, but it is better to have a 3-layer mask with a face shield. You should have safe, ensure safe injection practices, environment cleaning, and waste disposal. Everything has to be just like as per protocols. Next slide. And this is very important. All healthcare workers should perform hand hygiene using alcohol boys, and also or washing with soap and water. Perform this after drinking or after touching the mask. This is we usually for mask in the usually we forget to wash our hands or sanitize. So I've seen people wearing masks which are touching the mask very often, the front of them. So you have to be very conscious of whatever things you're doing in the clinic. Next slide. And this is, and I have seen doctors using cloth masks, and these are not recommended for healthcare workers. These are recommended only for patients or parents. Next slide. So, and nowadays we are many of the masks can be reused. So do not use do not reuse the single-use mask. Discard the single-use mask after each use. And N95 can be used, that we are providing. Like they can like we can provide 4 N95 respirators and we can recycle them. So we can discard after 4 cycles. That's a very good method so that you reduce the number of N95 respirators for use. So ഒരാൾക്ക് 4 കൊടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ every 4th day we can recycle it. Next slide. Okay, thank you.
There are a lot of messages in the chat box. Even though I promised I will take care during the panel discussion, it is difficult to do so. So I will entertain all these messages after the end of the panel discussion. Now, Ajit deliberated about the precautions in the outpatient department. Dr. Mohandas, anything to add, especially in big hospitals?
ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഇപ്പം ഈ കോവിഡ് നമ്മുടെ ആ ഒരു പ്രാക്ടീസിന്റെ സിസ്റ്റം കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് തോന്നുന്നത് ഇനി അങ്ങോട്ടുള്ള കാലത്ത്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ഈ വിദേശത്തൊക്കെ പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ പറഞ്ഞു കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് ഒരു ദിവസം 10 പേഷ്യന്റിനെ നോക്കുള്ളൂ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 20 പേഷ്യന്റിനെ നോക്കുള്ളൂ എന്നില്ല. നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലാണെങ്കിൽ 100ഉം 200ഉം അതിലധികം നോക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ്. സോ ഐ ഡോണ്ട് തിങ്ക് we can continue with that sort of practice now onwards. If we have to take care of all these things, definitely we will have to minimize the number of patients we see. In one of the comments, I think Krishna Mohan was saying, ഒരു 10-8 പേരൊക്കെ റെസ്പിറേറ്ററി പ്രോബ്ലം ഉള്ളവരായിരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ എങ്ങനെ അവരെ സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും? അപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്ന റെസ്പിറേറ്ററി കേസുകളിൽ മെജോറിറ്റി need not to have a consultation. So if we have a facility to decide whether they have to come personally by telephonically or by video consultation, we can reduce the number of patients. At the same time, we can charge the consultation fee also. There can be system, the teleconsultation, telemedicine, അതിന് ചാർജ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനൊന്നും പ്രോബ്ലം ഇല്ല. സോ ദേ നീഡ് നോട്ട് കം, ദേ ആർ ഓൾസോ സേവിങ് ദെയർ ടൈം ആൻഡ് മണി ഓൺ ദാറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് എവരിബഡി ഈസ് ട്രസ്ഡ് ഓൺ ദ അഡ്വാൻസ് ബുക്കിംഗ് വിത്ത് എക്സാക്ട് ടൈം സ്ലോട്ട്, which in all levels we will have to implement that now onwards. Otherwise, so many patients will be crowding and they will be transmitting infection from one person to other. And we pediatricians enjoyed our practice by, it was an opportunity to see more relatives with them, interacting with them and all. And now onwards, probably we will be losing on that aspect also. We will have to reduce the number of persons coming with the child. And now again, another loss is we will be covering our face and the bystanders will be covering the face, the communication and all. I think these are the enjoyment of this practice maybe lessened to some extent by all these measures. And other things I think already discussed.
Already covered. മോഹൻദാസ് പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ നമ്മുടെ പല സീനിയർ ടീച്ചേഴ്സും പണ്ട് പറയും, ഒരുപാട് കുട്ടികളോട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ രക്ഷിതാക്കളോട് ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് പൈസയേക്കാളും ഭയങ്കര ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് പ്രാക്ടീസ്. പക്ഷെ 2ാം ലോക മഹായുദ്ധം കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് ലോകത്ത് ഒരുപാട് മാറ്റങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായത്. അതുപോലെ ഇപ്പം കോവിഡിന്റെ മുമ്പും കോവിഡിന്റെ പിമ്പും പിന്നെ കോവിഡിന് ശേഷവും എന്ന് ലോകം മാറാൻ പോവുകയാണ്. ഒരു പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ പ്രാക്ടീസിൽ ഗുണപരമായ മാറ്റങ്ങൾക്കും കോവിഡ് നിമിത്തമായേക്കാം. കാരണം എല്ലാരെയും നമ്മൾ തന്നെ നോക്കണമെന്ന് നിർബന്ധം പിടിക്കേണ്ടതില്ല. ഈവൻ ഇൻ ഗവൺമെന്റ് സെറ്റപ്പ് more facility has to be developed. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് ചേഞ്ചിലേക്കും വരാം. Then out to Fiji, how to deal children brought to casualty. Casualty is a different atmosphere. Most of the time, the parents will be in a panic. There may be multiple bystanders. How will we deal all these things? Fiji.
Okay. So this is the casualty area in IMCH. Here we have 3 triage areas. One is the casualty for non-risk cases, and this is the casualty triage 2, where the bystander is outside, even outside the hospital, and we just ask few questions from inside and will decide whether to admit the patient into the hospital or we can directly send them to the COVID isolation area. So this avoids many risks to the healthcare
ഇത്
workers.
കുറച്ചും കൂടെ വോളിയം കൂട്ടോ,
Hello.
കുറച്ചും കൂടെ വോളിയം കൂട്ടോ.
കേൾക്കാവോ?
അപ്പൊ കേൾക്കാം.
Okay. ആ ഒച്ചയിൽ പോയി ഒന്നോട്ടെ.
Okay, sir. So by this setup, we are maintaining more than 1 meter distance, because in a casualty, patient may be sick and may be very infectious. There won't be much time. So first question, whether there is any suspicion of contact, that we can take at a distance, even the bystander outside the window side. And after that, next slide, sir. So there are separate areas for fever, respiratory symptoms. So respiratory case casualties there, non-fever or non-risk casualties there. So both are in the casualty itself. And for COVID suspect, we are sending them to triage 3, where there is isolation facility and full PPE is a must there. So in the general casualty, the sister should wear N95 mask, face shield as shown in the picture, cap and the gown and gloves. These are must in a casualty, because there will be many exposures to body fluids and splashes that should be expected in the casualty. Next slide, sir. So in the casualty, it is better to avoid nebulization, and I don't know how much it will be practical, since when we start the bronchiolitis season, it will be very difficult to manage without nebulization. For asthma cases and all, we can use MDI with spacer, even in young children. Then we should always insist proper washing with the water and detergent for ambu bag and mask, and ETO sterilization after each patient use. In many of the small hospitals, we used to reuse the ambu bag and mask just by wiping it with alcohol. That should not happen anymore. And cleaning of monitor, cleaning of trolley, disposable bedspreads in the casualty, using heat moisture exchanger while bagging, that I will explain later, and ventilation protocol. If there is an accident, if there is an emergency, we may have to bag or we may have to intubate. For that also, there is a protocol I will explain. Full PPE is a must if it is a suspected COVID case. Next slide, sir. So this is the ETO sterilized ambu bag and mask. This can be reused after ETO sterilization. Without that, this is a very high potential thing for spread of COVID infection. And in the casualty also, another problem will be with the referral. In a suspected case, ambulance driver has to take precautions. There should be double chamber ambulances, because the driver should be in a separate chamber and the patient and bystander in a separate. There should not be any air connection between the chambers.
മാരുതി ഓംനി ആംബുലൻസ് പലപ്പോഴും ഒഴിവാക്കുകയാണ് നല്ലത്.
It cannot be used in a suspected case, and even in a every case should be suspected to have COVID nowadays, because we don't know the clinical feature fully. And in broad-dead cases also, as per the directions from the forensic department, they insist COVID test for all broad-dead cases, except those RTA or hanging or drowning, where there is no definite cause is there. We should screen them before doing autopsy. So for broad-dead cases also, we have to make extra precautions. And the observation room should have minimum patients. We have to dispose patients in the emergency room as early as possible. We cannot wait them we cannot make them wait in the observation room as we do till now. And regarding lab investigations also, because these patients are not IP, we cannot ask the screening questions or take history properly. So in the emergency room, the lab technicians also should take adequate precautions, just because of the fact that turnover of patients are more and we are not taking the full history in that emergency.
Fiji discussed about the casualty facilities. Then over to Dr. Sindhu. In our casualties, one of the main nuisance is the bystander issue. A lot of bystanders, especially with a sick child. How to deal with bystanders in OP and casualty? especially in government hospital, large private hospitals?
A real problem what we are facing.
No
One
OP?
thing is the fixing the appointments of the OP. So some way we can reduce, when we reduce the number of patients, we can have some control. And actually, as a collector order is that there should not be more than one bystander for each patient. But still there is some problems. We can take the history from the patient that whether they have a history of travel and all. But sometimes the patient may not be having such a history. So our marking should be negative. So they will be directly come to our non-respiratory clinic or non-COVID suspect area, but the bystanders may be having such a contact. I think something what happened in Kasaragod recently, that is the hospital infection. So such things are what we can do is restrict to for OP. The casualty sometimes it may be very difficult. In a sick child, there may be many bystanders. But in OP, we have to restrict us by one bystander, and also their safety is also an issue. So don't, the bystander should not be an elderly person. The grandparents should not be the bystander, and also many of them have a habit of bringing the other children with them. So that should also be discouraged. And all the what we can display this all the what are the risk areas, and they should be very much convinced that they may get the disease from here also. So we have to that point they may take, and that's a way to restrict the bystanders.
So appointment കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ it is better to tell only one bystander should be accompanied.
A healthy person, and the bystander should not be a person with some respiratory symptoms or some illness.
പിന്നെ അങ്ങനെ ബൈസ്റ്റാൻഡേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്, പാർക്കിംഗ് ഏരിയ ഒക്കെ അവർക്കുള്ള ഒരു സീറ്റിംഗ്
extra we have to
കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. All these
what
things
we are doing is we are now one seat we are marking into that only on alternate chairs. Now we are asking the bystanders to sit, so we can keep one chair in between each the waiting area.
OP ചെയറിൽ ഒന്നിടവിട്ട് ഇൻഡു മാർക്ക് ചെയ്ത് വെക്കുക. അപ്പൊ ഒരു സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിംഗിൽ ഇരുത്താൻ പറ്റും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആളുകൾ നേരെ വന്ന് ഇരിക്കും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ കയറ് കെട്ടിയിടാം. അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ബാരിയേഴ്സ് വെക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ് OP-യിൽ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിംഗ് കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ. Then Dr. Ajit, how will you deal with the IP patient? What all modifications or simple makeshift arrangement you will do in a IP setup?
What we did here in Calicut Medical College can be done in many hospitals as well.
With a little modifications.
Yeah, with little modification, because we have converted one floor into respiratory and fever ward, one floor, and another floor into a non-respiratory cases. So the one end of the one floor will be respiratory, and other would be mainly fever cases. And non-respiratory cases are in another floor of that, so that they don't mix. So that we can have we can isolate or have more precautions in those areas where the respiratory cases or fever cases are admitted. Next slide. So very important that all healthcare workers should, as I said in the beginning, should be adequately prepared, and hand hygiene, and also don the protective gear like face mask.
ഞാൻ ഒരു കാര്യം ഇടപെടുകയാണ്. ചാറ്റ് ബോക്സിൽ ഷാജി സാറിന് ഒരു മെസ്സേജ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ഗ്ലൗസ് വേണം, പക്ഷെ ഗ്ലൗസിനേക്കാളും ഹാൻഡ് റബ് ഈസ് മോർ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ്. ഗ്ലൗ ധരിക്കുന്നതോടുകൂടി നമുക്കൊരു ഫാൾസ് ഫീലിംഗ് ഓഫ് പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ വരും.
OP they might use the gloves, but I think as Dr. Ashraf has said, as a false protection false.
In patient, it is better to use hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer, yeah. In between, it gets better. So after touching each patient, you have to use this hand sanitizer before and after. Next slide. So if it's a COVID area, they have to use all the PPE. Doctors, nurse, if it is more than 15 minutes, they have to use the PP. Next slide. And screening area also, N95 goggles, and these are some of the what you call aerosol generating and next aerosol. So you should be very careful, especially in the ICUs and all, bag and mask ventilation, intubation, non-invasive ventilations, chest physiotherapy, coughing, bone. I mean, these are some of the procedures in the IP and OPD. We have intubation, endotracheal intubation, most probably our nebulizations, all these are aerosol generators. So you have to have adequate N95. Yeah, that's a high load inoculum. So those in the aerosol generating procedures, you have to definitely don a N95 mask with a gown and all these things. Next slide. And this is the guideline for if somebody even in your hospital, somebody gets ill in the COVID area. This is a guideline which came yesterday, actually, guideline for managing healthcare workers. So how to
Shared by central government.
By the central government came yesterday, actually, and guideline on how to classify the healthcare workers into high risk contact and low risk contact. And those who have, what this guideline says that even those who are working in COVID area with full protection, without any breach, they need not go for quarantine. I don't know how much they need not go for quarantine for 14 days. But if there is a breach in the PPE, if they are not adequately, if they are not donned the N95 mask while doing procedures like with high aerosol generating, they have to go for quarantine. So very important. Like some of you might lose your workforce if you're not managing or if you're not following the guidelines. Next slide. Okay.
How will you deal with the bystanders in the ward? In government hospital, especially even in private hospital, that is also a nuisance, especially in the evening. Mondas.
As already mentioned, we should allow only one bystander per patient, and they have to use a 3-layer mask or two-layer mask, especially if the child is having respiratory symptoms. And they can be advised not to have very close contact with the child if the child is having respiratory symptoms. And patients, unless the child is less than 2 years, we can make the patients also wear mask. And we should ask them to wash hands frequently and use sanitizers in between. And if the child is very sick or being ventilated or like that, in such situations, we should not allow any bystander with the patient, and the nurses will take care of the child.
അതായത് നമ്മളൊരു 2000-ലാണ് പലപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ യൂണിവേഴ്സൽ പ്രിക്കോഷൻ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ വേസ്റ്റ് മാനേജ്മെന്റിലൊക്കെ ഒരു പെർഫെക്ഷൻ വന്നത്. പലപ്പോഴും HIV-യുടെ ഒരു ആഫ്റ്റർ ഇഫക്റ്റ് ആണത്. അതുപോലെ പോസ്റ്റ് കോവിഡ് അല്ലെ കോവിഡ് കാലത്ത് ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലുകളിൽ ഇപ്പൊ റൂമുകളിലൊക്കെ ഈ ഹെൽത്തി ഹാബിറ്റ്സിനെ പറ്റിയുള്ള ചെറിയ ബിറ്റ് നോട്ടീസോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എക്സിബിറ്റ്സോ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതൊക്കെ അവർക്ക് വായിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. അത് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാനും അനുസരിക്കാനും എളുപ്പമായിരിക്കും. Fiji, what are precautions you will take in ICU care?
Okay. Sir, next.
Fiji.
So, next slide, sir.
Some net problem.
So, in the ICU.
കുറച്ചും കൂടി ക്ലോസർ ആയി പിടിച്ചിട്ട് കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഉറക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ കേൾക്കും.
Hello.
Fiji.
Sir, next slide, sir. Next slide.
You're audible. Kelkam. Continue.
Slide. Next slide. Sir.
Next slide, sir. Ashraf, sir.
Sir, next slide.
Next slide like പോവാം അഷ്റഫ്.
അവിടെ എന്തോ ഒരു നെറ്റ് പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ട്, ഇപ്പൊ ശരിയാവും.
So in the ICU, as Ajit sir already mentioned, there is each pediatric ICU is a potential area for COVID outbreak that everybody should understand, because it is unlike the OP or ward. It is usually a closed area, and usually it is air conditioned, and all high risk patients are coming there, and we invariably have to do some resuscitative measures. Sometimes child may need bag and mask ventilation. Many patients may be on mechanical ventilator. We may have to do cardiopulmonary resuscitation, high flow oxygen, CPAP. In that way, all types of aerosol generating procedures are a routine in PICU. And there will be multiple patients and multiple bystanders at a time in a single closed room. So I would like to say that the next outbreak, hospital outbreaks, will be starting from the pediatric ICUs. Pediatric ICU is more riskier than adult ICU. Why? Because children, it is very difficult to make them wear the mask. Even if they are not very sick, they may be crying, shouting and all. They may be vomiting, and those personal hygiene we cannot insist much in a sick patient. And bystanders also will be changing in between as if it is a government hospital. So it is very difficult to control the infectious material coming into the environment in a pediatric sector. So what I would like to say is that aged people should not do their work in pediatric ICU till we are more clear about the seriousness of the outbreak in Kerala at least. So young faculty should take charge of ICUs, and with all the precautions should be there in each ICU. PPE may not be possible because it is very costly. Many workers will be there in each ICU. So PPE is also not practical. What we do in our PICU is we will wear N95 mask, cap, the face shield, gloves, if we are doing some procedure, otherwise we are not wearing gloves always, a gown till up to the wrist, closely wrapped around the wrist, and a chapel, a separate chapel. These are the things we do in PICU, and in between each patient, after each touch, we are using hand rub. So these are the personal protective measures in the pediatric ICU. And regarding the treatment, what I would like to say is already mentioned, these are the aerosol generating, sir, this slide is enough. So intubation, bagging, CPR, nebulization, NIV, open suction, any disconnection from ventilation, tracheostomy, all these are aerosol generating procedures. Next slide, sir. So there is no emergency in a pandemic, no emergency intubation. We should be planned with 3 persons, one the intubator, second the assistant, third the nurse, minimum people during intubation. Full PPE is better, but we may not be able to do that. At least face shield, N95 mask, gown, cap, and the gloves should be there. And it is, even if we are not having a negative pressure ICU, at least a single room, a negative pressure room should be there in each PICU for intubation or such resuscitative procedures. After intubation, we can shift the patient from that room, close the room for some time, and switch on the negative pressure, the AC, so that the aerosols will be removed. Arrange everything, tube, plaster, drug beforehand. Neuromuscular blockage is better. Aerosol box, we might have seen a box with a transparent sheet cover over that, which is to be kept over the head to avoid the aerosol spreading to the environment. Avoid repeated attempts. An experienced person should intubate. And better to avoid bag and mask ventilation. Video laryngoscope is better for directly viewing it without going very close to the nose and mouth of the patient. Cuffed ET tubes are better to avoid air leak from sides of the ET tube. Closed suction apparatus equipment should be there for endotracheal suction, and heat moisture exchanger is now used as a virus filter at the exhalation end of the ventilator circuit. And clean the room only after 20 minutes in a intubated area, because we should wait for the aerosols and the dust particles to settle before we clean that room. And NG tube to be inserted only after intubation and settling the patient. So safe, accurate, and swift, SAS. We should not be in a hurry. It should be planned, swift, accurate, and safe. That is the protocol in airway management. Next slide, sir.
So,
some technical issue. Thank you for continuing.
Okay.
Then regarding the immunization, previously government has stopped the immunization services. Now we started. Out to Ajit, your thoughts about immunization.
Yeah,
in this
that
COVID.
recently government had given guidelines on immunization. That is by government of Kerala, COVID-19 outbreak control and prevention. So immunization, as we know, that it's one of our priority, and many of our pediatricians they have immunization at home in the clinic and their hospitals. And very important to the guideline says to increase the number of days, but I would prefer that to reduce the number of days, especially in the coming few months, because the number of cases might I mean to reduce the risk. But the guideline says to increase the number of days so to prevent the rush. And there should be a separate days for less than 5 years and more than 5 years. And you can have morning sessions, 1 or 2 devoted for morning session and maintaining social distancing and hygiene. And immunization area should be separate from the OPD area. And because they don't want to, these are usually normal children, they should not be mixed with children who are having respiratory infections and all. And there should be some triaging system in the immunization clinic as well to look for evidence of any COVID. And these are usually not an issue because the primary, the like BCG, OP and hepatitis B, usually most of them they get. But the problem is the second dose. And the priority will be to have our primary series vaccination, like vaccines against measles, rubella, and other combinations. They have to be given. The primary series vaccination has to be followed up. And as our state president has said, we should give pneumococcal, because some of the states, not in Kerala, some of the states are giving as per national schedule pneumococcal, and we should think of seasonal influenza vaccine as well. And the one very important thing is that all the providers, like the nurse, healthcare providers, they should be donning adequate protection, including face mask and the PPE, and sometimes the face shield will be useful.
Next to Mohandas, in this era of evidence-based medicine as well as the litigation, investigations are very important. What is your thoughts about the investigations in this COVID area?
So when we are suspecting COVID, we have to minimize investigations because we have to think that all the body fluids are infectious. Even though there is no definite proof that the infection has spread from blood or urine and all, still we have to take adequate precautions. So minimize investigations. Lab personnel also has to take all the precautions when handling these samples. And when we are, especially in suspected COVID cases, we have to arrange mobile X-ray rather than sending the patient to the X-ray room. Similarly, ultrasound and all should be available there itself. And everybody should take adequate precautions to prevent the spread of infections.
Ajit, next slide. Ajit, I will not able to do. Ajit.
Yeah.
Next slide. Fiji, the waste management is very important. We have to take extra care in the waste management. What are your thoughts about that? Ajit, next slide. Fiji.
We're not hearing Fiji.
Hello?
Yeah.
So in the waste management, we have to take extra care because most of the wastes are potentially infectious. So here I would like to divide it into mainly few headings. Hand hygiene, already mentioned. Respiratory hygiene, already mentioned. And the personal protective equipment. Everyone should know how to wear the full PPE. Many YouTube videos are there. So because of lack of time, I am not and covering it. Should I include? Everybody may be knowing how to wear PPE and the negative pressure rooms for the resuscitation or in the ICU care and negative pressure operation theaters. All these are important as part of the infection prevention, and something about the cleaning agents and sterilization also I would like to share. Next slide, sir. Next slide, sir. So the cleaning agents, usual cleaning agents are these: the chlorhexidine plus 70% ethyl alcohol, the usual hand rub. It can be either ethyl alcohol alone or isopropyl alcohol alone.
സിന്ധുവിന്റെ ആ 3 സ്ലൈഡ് നിങ്ങളെ ലാപ്പിൽ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തില്ല. അതില്ല.
Bleach solution. Should I share this, sir? Pictures?
Yeah.
Sir is share. It is there. Okay. So this is the hand rub we have. It is actually 2% chlorhexidine with ethyl alcohol plus moisturizer. Some hand rubs are not having moisturizer and is very bad for the skin. So always insist on some hand rub with moisturizer. This alcohol alone sanitizer can be used for cleaning stethoscope, monitor surfaces, instruments, SpO2 probe, ECG leads, etc. And Echo Shield is another chemical that is hydrogen peroxide with silver nitrate. It is very user friendly and can be used in metal surfaces also without any problem. So this is a very good cleaning agent for instruments and surfaces. The BP cough is a problem here. So the bladder, if it is removable from the cotton cloth, bladder can be wiped with alcohol and cotton, and the cover can be washed in water and detergent. Next slide, sir. So this is the cleaning agent I mentioned. Echo Shield is the trade name. It is actually hydrogen peroxide with silver nitrate. So 200 ml of the solution mixed with 800 ml of water can be used for fumigation also, and the time is 1 hour. 1 hour we have to close the room for fumigation. Fumigation is not equivalent to proper cleaning. We have to clean properly and then only fumigate. 100 ml with 900 ml mixture can be used for cleaning surfaces, instruments and monitors. This is Wiresidal. And next one is Sidex. Usually sisters are managing all these cleaning procedures and we are least bothered about the cleaning agent, but now it is time for doctors to know about the cleaning agent, because the knowledge of the sister or the nursing assistant or the sweeper may be less, or we may think that they know everything, but it may not be like that. So you should prescribe which cleaning agent for which purpose. So this is Sidex. Also the glutaraldehyde with the potassium nitrate. So this is today only I came to know about the details of Sidex. This is the big tin having 5 liters of glutaraldehyde. We have to mix this activator. This is potassium nitrate. 100 ml is for 5 liters of this solution. So after mixing that, this will get activated, and for 28 days we can use it. So you can take a part of it, say 100 ml in a tray, and put the scope or the catheter, sharp instruments in that. 10-hour dipping is enough for sterilization. So it is equivalent to sterilization, not disinfection. A 30 minutes dip is for low-level disinfection. 4 hours dipping is for high-level disinfection. And this solution can be reused if you think that it is less contaminated. So for scissors and all, we can reuse the same tray for few days. The manufacturer says for 28 days. This is another most common and cheap cleaning agent, most potent, that is bleach solution. How to make this? 1 kg pack is there. So for 30 liters of water, 1 kg is enough. Some chemistry you should know. This is 33% chlorine. So the ratio is 300 gram in 10 liters of water. You have to mix it and take the supernatant, and that is freshly prepared sodium hypochlorite solution. This is a best cleaning agent for floor, spills of body fluids, every surfaces, the walls, everything can be cleaned with bleaching powder except for metals. Metals may get rusted very easily if you expose them to bleaching powder. So for metallic surface like bed rails, trolley and all, we can use spirit, soap water mixture or this Eco Sheet. Next slide, sir. So 1% bleach is advised for floor or the surfaces. Blood and fluid spills, we have to pour enough bleach solution, add some paper or rag towel, and then after some contact time only wipe it off. Lab waste also can be disinfected by putting them in 1% bleach. How to clean ambulance surfaces? They recommend 0.5% bleach and 10 minutes contact time. For a soiled cloth, linen, 0.1% bleach is enough and 30 minutes is the contact time. Even our gowns should be dipped in bleach solution, diluted bleach solution. For floor mopping, 3 buckets we have to prepare. First, you should use mop with hot water and detergent. After that, almost wipe all the water content and soak the mop in plain water, clean that mop, then dip in 1% bleach. So this 1% bleach solution wiping is on dry surface, not over this hot water detergent mix. And Eco Shield already mentioned. ETO sterilization is best for those things which cannot be autoclaved, like ambu bag and mask, but it is after washing with soap and water. Autoclaving as usual for other instruments. Next slide. And the order of cleaning is also important. We should clean from clean to dirty area, from top to bottom of the wall, and then only the floor. And the nursing station, if it is in the PICU, nursing station first, area around each cot next, and center of PICU.
Fiji, excuse me, we are running short of time.
Okay.
So we will share this slide in the IAP group.
Okay.
The minor details can be
these are
avoided.
the things. Okay, next.
Then Ajit, next slide.
Isolation ward, everything is in the yellow except goggles. There is no green bucket in the isolation, and it should be in 2-layer bag, and it should be marked COVID. That's it.
Then regarding the documentation, Mohandas, which is better, e-filing or paper filing?
Both has got its own advantages and disadvantages. Anyway, this COVID is going to make a lot of changes in our documentation area. And as we all know, the formats are important source of spread of infection. Paper files can act as a source. So the previous prescriptions brought by the patient, lab investigation results, currently the currency we accept as a consultation fee. All this.
Reserve Bank പോലും 2 ദിവസം കറൻസി വെക്കാനാണ് ബാങ്കുകളോട് പറയുന്നത്.
We have better to avoid all this. And we know we doctors are very infamous for our handwriting. So probably now onwards, we will be issuing printed or electronic prescriptions, which is easy to read. So we can depend on e-filing at the same time, and even the transactions can be through the this net. And if these things are not possible, it will be better that we wear gloves while handling this, use sanitizer in between patients, and currency received can be kept in a plastic cover for at least 3 days before we use it, so that in paper it is said that the virus can last for a maximum of 3 days. And when we are handling all this, we should strictly avoid touching our face, eyes, nose and mouth.
Sindhu, there are hotspots concept. ഇന്നലെ ഉള്ള ഹോട്ട്സ്പോട്ട് ആയിരിക്കില്ല ഇന്ന്. അത് നമ്മുടെ പ്രാക്ടീസിനാ എങ്ങനെ മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്യും? Hotspot and pediatric practice.
So next slide. You should.
Ajit, next slide.
As Ashok sir mentioned, the hotspot is always a changing concern. We had actually the hotspot is almost equivalent to the red zones. There are some the districts all over India has been divided into red zone, orange zone, and green zones. And in each, even in these red zones, districts also there are some hotspots are there. These are actually the containment zones. And these are updated regularly by the health authorities, and it is mainly depending upon how many active cases, what's the doubling time, how is the surveillance going on, how is the investigations going on. All this depends upon, they will update the cases, and actually we have to follow. In Kerala, in each district we have special areas that is regularly updated in the DHS bulletin. They daily publish the bulletin in this. If you go there, you can get the daily bulletin. And also now we are having cases from the neighboring states. We should know whether they are from a hotspot or a red zone district. So we have to be updated. So one problem is when the children are coming from other indications from this area, what's the problem? I think we should have a guideline. Actually, when in a hotspot or in a containment area, we have to isolate them, even though they are coming from non-respiratory cases. So that may be a little bit difficult, but we have to be very careful whether they are from a hotspot area, and we should be updated. In our OP and all, we should have the records, whether which is the red spot and that particular thing.
Ajit, briefly about the telemedicine.
So this is the guideline on telemedicine that was published in March 2020, 25th March. I mean, I'm not going to the definition of telemedicine, and so this is this is the what we are giving in our hospital. So okay, so that is, so basically telemedicine is not a substitute for clinical medicine, and there's the issue of patient privacy, and MCS published guideline, which I already said. So we can, all these are telemedicines like video based, text based, or audio based, or it can be real time or asynchronous. So whatever even a text based chat is also can be used for telemedicine. And so we can also have a payment system or a platform. That is one thing that we can do. Like we can have IAP can have a platform for that all the pediatricians can use telemedicine in their clinical practice. I think so all of us can have one platform for telemedicine in our private clinics or private hospitals, so that those who are doing single practices, so they can have the payment system also through the telemedicine.
In telemedicine, you can charge the consultation fee also.
Definitely.
Now, Dr. Fiji, the counseling and communication is very difficult in this COVID season because most of us are wearing the mask. So tell us about the counseling and communication.
Because of lack of time, I will just briefly go through that. Already mentioned about the screening questions that has to be communicated clearly, and advice regarding quarantine. And one thing is regarding severe acute respiratory infection. If a patient comes with severe acute respiratory infection, in IMCH what we do is we are screening them first, then only they are being admitted to general wards. So for one day they are in an isolation room. That is not acceptable or not expected by many of the parents coming with a child having pneumonia. So this isolation protocol should be clearly mentioned at the time of admission itself. Otherwise, it will create a lot of problems and dissatisfaction from the parent side. Then consent. This is the consent or the declaration we take from each admission. There is option, the sentences show, regarding their contact or exposure history, and also there is a consent form which informs them that there is a risk of getting infection from the hospital. So both components are there in this. And the medical legal implications of concealing the travel histories to be clearly explained, and the chance of outbreak in the hospital. And regarding the cost of PPE, the screening test, its cost, if it is a private hospital, that has to be communicated. And regarding the dead body handling and burial protocol, after death, if it is a COVID suspect, that body will be shifted to mortuary, and only if the screening is negative, body will be handed over to the bystander. That is also not acceptable by many parents. So these to be discussed properly. Thank you.
IAP under the leadership of the Dr. Sachidananda Kammats and Dr. Narayanan already developed a guideline for the school reopening. Any comments on that, Sindhu?
Sir, I am not the person as this who prepared there with this, but actually combinedly IAP and IMA came with this guidelines for reopening. There are mainly we are of the opinion that actually now it is not the time to restart the schools at present, but anyway we have to live with this virus, so so we have to go with. But initially, the most important thing is now about the public exams that are not conducted. So for these exams, what should be done? That is, we have to make isolation facility for if any child is having respiratory symptoms during the exam, we have to have separate rooms. If one develops some symptoms during that period, and the social distancing of about 2 meters should be made available of all around, and we should have the map of the seating arrangement. If somebody develops some symptoms later, we have to trace all them. And there are some guidelines for distance education and what should do when we are planning to reopening. I think everybody can go through the guidelines and read about these things because of lack of time.
സാധാരണ യുദ്ധം ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോഴും പിന്നെ ഇത്തരം പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ ഏറ്റവും സഫർ ചെയ്യാൻ ഡിസേബിൾഡ് ആയ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൂടുതൽ വൾണറബിൾ ആയ ഗ്രൂപ്പാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഓഫ് ചിൽഡ്രൻ വിത്ത് ഇമ്യൂണോളജിക്കൽ പ്രോബ്ലം വിത്ത് ലുക്കീമിയാസ്, അജിത് ബ്രീഫ്ലി.
Basically, we deal with a lot of children with chronic infections, chronic diseases like leukemias, JIA, immunodeficiencies. Dr. Geeta is here, and I think this is our Hampton-Oncologist, Dr. Sheetal, talking with the patient and their bystander. So you have to take care of them, chronic illnesses, those are. And this is our data, like we have, so thalassemia patients that we do outreach services by sending them medicines. Through a police, we have through the police system, for patients, thalassemia patients, all the chelators we are sending. And this is the leukemia patients where all the drugs we are sent. And these are the rheumatology clinic, the number of patients, toxidolizumab, pala drugs to all the districts from Malappuram, Kasaragod, Wayanad. So all this, and also this immunodeficient IVIJ, Kasaragod vare ethichittu. So we have to take care of all these patients, type 1 diabetes through Mitai, insulin pens we have sending. So we have to take care of them, not only COVID patients, non-COVID patients, but those who are very vulnerable, especially those who are immunodeficient, who have chronic illnesses.
Lastly, Dr. Mohandas, lakhs of NRIs and NRCas are returning to Kerala, and significant proportion of them are pregnant ladies. Your thoughts about that, Mohandas?
Many pregnant ladies coming back from foreign countries are not full term, so they may be expecting delivery after 1 or 2 months only. So by that time they will be finishing their quarantine, and they can be considered as just any other pregnant lady in our area. The only issue is when they develop go into labor at this time. So at that time they have to be considered just like any other COVID suspect or those in quarantine. The thing is, the duration of this period depends on whether they are in a single room quarantine or whether they are more than one person is sharing. The whole family is in a room. In that case, the 14-day cutoff may not be applicable because the other person may get infection in these 2 weeks, and from that person, this lady may be getting infection. So these 2 weeks may not be sufficient in such situations. Okay, because of shortage of time. And another thing is we don't know whether this COVID can have any influence on early pregnancy on the fetus. That we are yet to see what is happening on that. And so far, there is no evidence that this COVID is having a vertical transmission. But mother can infect the newborn after
the NRIs 8 months കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പലപ്പോഴും ഫ്ലൈറ്റിൽ കയറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷേ in the case of NRI from other states, even the term ladies may come into Kerala. Okay, sorry for that prolonged session, and thank you for bearing.
Yeah, thank you.
Now the topic is open for discussion. If the Sukumaran sir is there, I request Sukumaran sir for his comments. Sukumaran sir and Bala.
Okay.
Purushothaman sir. Purushothaman. Then over to Narayanan. Dr. Narayanan.
Dr. Ajil എന്തോ ഒരു ആപ്പിന്റെ കാര്യം പറയുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Ajil, unmute you. Lot of queries, questions and comments in the chat box, but we are too late. Ajil, Ranjit or Bala, is it possible to unmute Dr. Ajil?
Yeah, hello sir.
Ajila parna kelkande.
Okay, actually good evening all. നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ഫേം വി ഹാവ് എ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ആക്ച്വലി. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് ഫോർ ദ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സിനും ക്ലിനിക്സിനും വേണ്ടി ഒന്ന് മോഡിഫൈ ചെയ്തു. എസ്പെഷ്യലി നമുക്ക് ഈ അപ്പോയിന്റ്മെന്റ്സ് ഫിക്സ് ചെയ്യാനും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ സ്മാർട്ട് ടോക്കൺസ്, എസ്പെഷ്യലി നമ്മളെ സോഷ്യൽ ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിങ് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് പിന്നെ ക്ലിനിക്സിലൊക്കെ പേഷ്യൻസ്
പുരുഷോത്തമൻ സാറിനെ ഒന്ന് അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യായിരുന്നു. സാർ എന്തോ പറയണമെന്ന് പറയണ്ടേ?
ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ ക്ലിനിക്സിലൊക്കെ പേഷ്യൻസ് അധികം വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി നമുക്ക് ടോക്കൺ സിസ്റ്റം ആ ആപ്പിലാക്കാം. അപ്പം ബേസിക്കലി പേഷ്യൻസ് വേണം വണ്ടിയിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് ഈ അവരുടെ ടോക്കൺ വരുന്നതിനനുസരിച്ച് ദേ ക്യാൻ കം ടു ദ ക്ലിനിക്സ്. പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അവരുടെ റെക്കോർഡ്സ്. പിന്നെ ഇപ്പം നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഡോക്ടർ ഫിജി പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ എന്താ പറയുക, നെക്സ്റ്റ് ടൈം ഒരു ഫോൺ കൺസൾട്ടേഷൻ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഇഫ് ദേ ഗെറ്റ് ദ നമ്പേഴ്സ്, അവരുടെ ഒരു യുണീക്ക് ഐ ഡി കിട്ടിയാൽ പിന്നെ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സ് ക്യാൻ സീ ദർ പ്രീവിയസ് പ്രിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻസ് എന്താണെന്നുള്ളത്. എന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക, പിന്നെ ഒരു ഫോൺ കൺസൾട്ടേഷനിൽ അത് ഫുൾ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് അതിൽ കിട്ടും. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു സിസ്റ്റം നമ്മൾ മെയിൻലി ഇതിൽ പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, എസ്പെഷ്യലി അപ്പോയിന്റ് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് സിസ്റ്റം ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട്. ഹലോ
പുരുഷോത്തമൻ സാർ, സാറിന് തന്നെ അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാം ആ ബട്ടണില്.
ഹലോ, കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഞാൻ നന്ദകുമാർ പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി തന്നെ ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കണം, നമുക്ക് ഈ സെഷന്റെ നമ്മൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള പറയാനുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഒന്നുകൂടി ലെങ്തി ആയിട്ട് ഇനിയും സമയം എടുത്തിട്ട് പിന്നെയും ചെയ്യാമായിരുന്നു. നമുക്ക് ഈ സെഷന്റെ ഉദ്ദേശം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത്, നമ്മളിൽ നിന്നൊരു കൺസെൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ട് അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേറ്റേഴ്സിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് നേടിയെടുക്കണം, അവർക്ക് എന്ത് കൊടുക്കണം എന്നുള്ള കാര്യത്തിന് ഒന്ന് സ്ട്രെസ് കൊടുക്കേണ്ടിയിരുന്നു. പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും നമുക്ക് 2-3 പോയിന്റുകൾ പറയാനുള്ളത്. നമുക്ക് ഒന്ന്, ഹയർ ലെവൽ ടെർഷറി ലെവൽ കെയറിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് റെഫറൻസ് ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ആക്കണം എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടും പറയേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് ഇത്രയും കാലമായിട്ട് റെഫറൻസ് ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ആക്കിയിട്ടില്ല മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജ്. ഈ കോണ്ടെക്സിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജസ് റെഫറൽ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ആക്കണം എന്നൊന്ന് പറയണം. രണ്ടാമത്തെ കാര്യം, നമ്മൾക്ക് ന്യൂമോകോക്കൽ വാക്സിൻസ്, ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ വാക്സിൻ, ഈ 2 വാക്സിനും പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ഒരു മേ ബി കട്ട് ഓഫ് എബവ് 50, ബിലോ 50 വിത്ത് കോമോബിലിറ്റീസ്, ഇത്രയുള്ള ഹെൽത്ത് വർക്കേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഡോക്ടേഴ്സ്, പീഡിയാട്രീഷ്യൻസിന് ഹൈ റിസ്ക് ആണ്. എല്ലാ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സും പറയായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷേ നമ്മൾ കുറേയും കൂടി ഹൈ റിസ്ക് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് ഡിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യാം ന്യൂമോകോക്കൽ വാക്സിൻസ് ആൻഡ് ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ വാക്സിൻസ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഗാഡ്ജറ്റ്സിൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് പ്രൊട്ടക്റ്റീവ് സാധനങ്ങൾ ഷോർട്ടേജ് വരാതെ നോക്കണം. അത് N95 മാസ്ക് ഒക്കെ ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ വരുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. അപ്പം മാസ്ക്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇൻഫ്രാറെഡ് തെർമോമീറ്റർ, ആ സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെയും നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പം ചോദിക്കണം. അപ്പം എന്തൊക്കെയാണോ ഗവൺമെന്റിൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് ചോദിക്കേണ്ടത് അതിനാണ് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഈ പ്രയോറിറ്റി ആയിട്ട് കൊടുക്കേണ്ടത്. ഇനിയത്തെ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ചർച്ചകൾക്കുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇനിയും ഒരു സെഷനും കൂടിയായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഇനിയും ചെയ്യാം. പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്ന 2 കാര്യങ്ങളുടെ അകത്ത്, ഒന്ന് വീടുകളിലുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, അത് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ വരുന്ന കുറച്ച് നാളുകളിൽ ഈ സ്വന്തം വീടുകളിലെ പ്രാക്ടീസ് എൻകറേജ് ചെയ്യണോ? അത് കഴിയുന്നത്രയും ഫിജി പറഞ്ഞ മാതിരി തന്നെ സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ആക്കി ചെയ്യുക. കാരണം നമ്മൾ വീട്ടിൽ കുട്ടികളുണ്ട്, വെയിറ്റിംഗ് ആൾക്കാർ വന്ന് തുപ്പും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് കഴിയുന്നതും സ്വന്തം വീടുകളിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള പ്രാക്ടീസുകൾ കുറച്ച് നാളത്തേക്കെങ്കിലും. പിന്നെ ലാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് എനിക്ക് നെബുലൈസേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള പറഞ്ഞ സാധനത്തിനടുത്ത് എനിക്ക് വിയോജിപ്പുണ്ട്. നെബുലൈസേഷൻ നീഡ് നോട്ട് ബി അവോയ്ഡഡ് ഇൻ കേസ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഇൻഡിക്കേറ്റഡ്. അതൊരു എയറോസോൾ ആയിട്ട് കൂട്ടണ്ട. അതായത് നെബുലൈസർ എയറോസോൾ ആണ് അതിന്റെ ബേസിക് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ എങ്കിലും ഞാൻ അതിന്റെ മാറ്റർ ഞാൻ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് IAPന്റെ അകത്തുനിന്ന് പറയാം. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് നെബുലൈസേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള സാധനം എയറോസോൾ അറ്റ് റിസ്ക് അല്ല. അതൊന്ന് നമുക്ക് അത് മാറ്റണം, തെറ്റാണത്.
കഴിഞ്ഞ CK സാർ അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ആണ്. CK സാറിന് പറയാം. CK സാർ അല്ല,
simple thing.
Yeah,
it is certainly going to be a laborious attempt on our part. The manpower involved, the present manpower involved is going to be totally insufficient. Every step we have to do it perfectly, as it is told, not only in our country, everywhere. The kits and the facilities provided to health professionals are absolutely unsatisfactory. And we should also realize that going to this, the reports available in various countries, it is a marginalized society. They are all affected, and especially government medical colleges are the place for them to come and get treated. And this is something which is very important. Now you said about immunization, which we can manage, then I think you can go back to at least this stopping immunization for three months, and the economic effect, loss of job, all these things will take back at least 10 years from here back. We are going back, and it is going to be malnutrition we have to handle. We have to handle unimmunized children with so many vaccine preventable diseases, and it is going to be a very tough job. We're practicing in our own limited. It is going to impact every level of care. I think that's a very nice session conducted, and so many things, new things, so many opinions, and things have been discussed. Congratulations for the IAP state as well as the Dr. Narayanan and Dr. Ashraf, Mohandas, and Ajit for the nice inputs.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Narayanan, നമ്മള് 9:45 ആയി. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ഓപ്പൺ ഹൗസ് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ, അതുപോലെ നന്ദൻ മെസ്സേജ് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇതിലൊരു ഓപ്പൺ ഹൗസ് ഡിസ്കഷൻ പിന്നെ ആവാം.
First of all, congratulations and thanks to the panelists. You have dealt with all the aspects. Each and every aspect has been covered. A few points. Mobile phones and laptops, we must be very careful. Mobile phones and laptops should be considered as part of our body. So don't let our children or our spouses use our mobile phone or laptop. So either you keep it in your clinic, and when you go to, don't take to your house, and laptop you can do like that, and mobile phone you have to sterilize and when you're going home. That's very strict, because they should be taken as part of our body. So when you are sterilizing or cleaning your body, that should also be considered. Then one thing, use of tongue depressor, I think you should not use tongue depressor during this next few months. No need to use it, because that will invariably, there will be a stimulation for coughing, and that there is a chance of splashing of secretions. And also try not to examine a crying child for maybe for the coming few months. Only when the child is pacified and cool, we have to examine the child. Then another thing is better to, instead of marking the chairs in your clinic into, and just remove the chairs, because anyway people will not be, they have a tendency to sit and chat there. So keep less 50% of the chairs or something like that. Otherwise, it is not practical. Then another thing, masks. The one tendency now seen is whenever the bystanders enter the room, they will be coming with the mask. Once they started talking to the doctor, they try to bring down the mask to make it clear. So immediately you have to tell them that you have to wear the mask carefully. And from the regarding the immunization days, I think you have to stick to the government protocol, maximum number of days. That I think that it has got its own advantages. Better we don't suggest a change there. And telemedicine, of course, telemedicine already, CIAP has got a platform. I think we can utilize that. Then there is an issue of closing down of the hospitals once either one of the staff is found to be positive. So I think nearly some 30 hospitals have been closed during a short span of time, 1 or 2 months in the state. And that can happen to other hospitals also. So we should have some discussion with that I already talked to the IMA. They should have some, otherwise, if the infection is continuing like that, then there may not be places for treatment for the public. And as Dr. Purushottam sir has told, definitely those things also we will take in and we'll discuss with the administration. And what IAP has to do, IAP, we should be able to provide some PPE measures to the to a pediatrician. So we'll try to do that. Actually, in Ernakulam, Cochin IMA, we had distributed 30 masks and 3 face shields and enough number of sanitizers in a kit to nearly 600 doctors here. That we got through some sponsorship. That can be done, and we will also have some funds for that. So at reduced or subsidized rates, even sometimes some numbers can be given even free that we can arrange through the branches. That should be one help from IAP to its members, because our protection is of prime importance, so that IAP will have to take that. And regarding N95 mask also, we'll try to bargain with the companies and we'll try to provide it through branches to whenever it is necessary. And I think the other things, what are things we can that can be suggested, we can take into consideration, and we can have something like a protocol or some guidelines for IAP members. I request the panelists to have a consensus on these opinions, and regarding the feedbacks from the senior pediatricians and senior professors and all. So we'll have a module or something like guidelines within a few days, so that can be circulated to the pediatricians. And IAP State Kerala, IAP Kerala State will do all the wherever we can do help our members. It is our duty to. I believe it is our duty to do that. And with that, as CK sir already told, it's a tough time. We'll have to go through this time. So let us all hope. Hope is the biggest thing in our life. Let us all hope that we can tide over this crisis and have a better. Sometimes, as many people have said, it may be a blessing in disguise. Who knows? So we'll hope for the better. Thank you.
Dr. Nihas. Nihas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Conclude the session.
First of all, I'd like to thank our state office bearers, Narayan sir and Bala sir, for giving us this opportunity to host this program as a state program. And I thank our moderator Ashraf sir and the panelists. We had a great discussion on each and every aspect of the healthcare. And I also thank our past presidents, Sachi sir and Sukumar sir, for getting into this meeting and giving their valuable inputs in between. All the senior pediatricians, Purushottam sir, Andhikeshwan sir, all other seniors in the IAP and my teachers, thank you everyone for coming into this meeting and giving a valuable inputs. I think we'll have a small session later for the further discussions, as Purushottam sir and others were mentioning. I think we'll be doing it in 1 or 2 days if possible. And one more thing, I request everyone, like from next week, we are starting with our Rainbow webinar series, 3 webinars in a week for 7 weeks. So I request everyone to come and join us for the meetings. It will be all will be short meetings with 30 to 45 minutes maximum. And so all the sessions will be covered by as I've already been shared, covered by the experts in the field. So I request everyone to join for that also. Thank you all.